Okay, I'm live. Looks like I got a couple people here. So I'm going to start off, well, unless I've got a couple of questions that come in soon, but I've got a couple of videos that were sent to me and also some questions that were sent to me ahead of time. But I'm definitely able to take questions here. So if you have those, go ahead and send them in. And just as an update, what I'm going to be doing moving forward here is link my live streams with my, hi Michelle, link my live streams with my Team ACE community. So if you have questions that you want me to talk about on these, but also videos that you want me to look at, you can go to my Team ACE, which you can access. It's a Discord server. You can access it or get a link to it from my website, or you can just go to Discord, I believe, and find me by looking up Team ACE. But definitely, I know you can get it through my website. In fact, let me show that to you real quick. Let me switch over to share. So if you go to my website, and here's the hurdling page, and then down here where it says Get Coaching, you can either, this is the ways that you can work with me. One is as a hurdler, if you want to do my hurdler subscription, and that's one-on-one, unlimited, and that's where my big priority goes to. You can do that. But then if you want to be in more of a group setting, like a community approach, that's what Team ACE is for. Currently, that's free. As soon as I get enough people in there and get some energy going in there, I'm going to make that $9 a month. But in the meantime, it's free. You can ask all kinds of questions. In fact, I will show that to you real quick. You can submit questions that I'll answer. Here's a few that were asked this week, and I answer them. Sometimes I'll attach videos to them. Here's if you want to submit a video to review, and the one that we're going to look at today was done that way. Also, I've got some instructional videos in here, and also here's where you can go to get workouts. I've got PDF downloads right now. We're doing preseason workouts for the upcoming spring season. That'll be for most states either late February or early March. Let me just real quick check to see if I've got a question. Oh, great, Michelle. So that's awesome. Already making good progress. So good job on that. Good job on that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and let me make sure. Okay, reviewing video. I'm going to look at Xavier's video. Let me pull it up real quick. And if by some chance my computer stops, because it's been acting very funny lately, and I've been researching, doing all kinds of stuff to make it better, and I thought I had it all fixed, but right before I get ready to live stream, it turned off again. And so if it just all of a sudden goes blank, then sorry, I'll have to pick it up next week. Was all keyed up and ready to go. Okay, here we go. So an athlete named Xavier sent me his video. He sent me another one today or yesterday, and I was going to look at it, but it needs a little, because this is a follow-up. So basically, wrong video. Anyway, so Xavier is really good, really talented. This is, I don't know if you can see, but this is him winning this race here. But his problem is that when he goes too high over the hurdle, and then he also tends to, he doesn't move his arms properly. He doesn't have his lead arm go opposite of his lead leg. He throws both of his arms back, and they're both straight, so he loses his balance, and he also tends to run flat-footed. So he sent me another video here of him in practice saying that he's been working on it, so I told him I would review it during this live session. So as you can see, the guy's got some athletic ability. He looks strong and powerful. So let me take a look at it here. Okay, he doesn't have it from the start. I'm going to assume that he takes 8 steps. And here he comes approaching. Let me blow it up. So I can see that actually looks good. I mean, he does get a little more height than I'd be happy with, but it's not bad. But what's odd, he did have his arm, so his right leg is forward, left arm is forward, so that's good. But you notice his arm is straight and it's behind him. It's still there, like he's holding it there. And at this point, it should already be pulling through powerfully. You need to pull that trail arm through really powerful. And he's missing out on that, so he's losing some balance. But striking on the ball of his foot, so that's all good. And then this one definitely looks like, if you look at his waist, I mean, he really went up on this one. I'm not sure why he did that. And then sure enough, when I look at the clearance here, that's pretty big clearance. Again, he's got a trail arm tucked behind. Another thing, it would be beneficial, Xavier, for you basically to have your arms, try to keep them approximately 90 degrees. If you think about that, it'll work out pretty well. The other is, okay, so he's hitting, okay, pulling your trail leg through really high with that knee, too high, and you even clip the hurdle with your foot there. And then your arm is just sort of dangling there like it's dead. And then looks like you're ready to fall over here. Okay, so I agree that there's some improvement. But what you're going to learn is that improvement in hurdles doesn't usually come right away. It's something that you need to just keep working at it, and it'll get better all the time. Okay, so that's it for that. Let me go back. Back to YouTube. Okay, so Jill, I'm training an 11-year-old girl in the 80-meter hurdle, so you're a coach, okay, who's excited. Wait, hold on 1 second here. I don't know if, sorry, a lot of, okay, that is right. Sorry, Jill. Okay, I'm training an 11-year-old girl in the 80-meter hurdles who's excited to learn but lacks natural ability. I'm starting from the beginning with her, but not sure what to expect from her steps. Okay, well, almost certainly she's going to take 5 steps between the hurdles. So basically, you didn't really ask a question, but I'm going to assume that it's a question. So let's see here. First thing you would have to do is figure out what's her preferred lead leg. And then you're going to have to figure out how many steps she's going to comfortably take from the start line to that first hurdle. And then you're going to have to adjust the, hopefully it's 8 steps. So you have to adjust the blocks accordingly. But again, if she doesn't have natural ability, I'm not sure exactly what that means. Like if she's slow, she run funny, it might be that she's going to take more than 8 steps to that first hurdle. So it's a combination of figuring out her preferred lead leg and also figure out how many steps to comfortably get to that first hurdle, and then adjust the blocks accordingly so she doesn't take a bunch of really tiny steps and get messed up. And then when she goes over, what I would do is just set up that first hurdle and see how she does to get to the next hurdle. Like, where does 3 steps put her? And if it puts her more than, say, 5 feet behind or in front of that hurdle, then she's probably not going to do that in 3 steps. So you can either teach her how to 4-step or teach her how to 5-step. If you've seen any of my videos, obviously 3 is the preferred. If she can't do that, okay. So thanks, Jill, right leg. So again, it really, for her, depends on how many steps she's going to take. So if she's going to take 8 steps to that hurdle, obviously she's going to have her left foot forward in the blocks. But if she's going to, because of her lack of ability, if she's going to be 9 steps or 10 steps, it could be right or left. So you'll have to work that out. But anyway, as I was saying, if she can't do 3 steps, then you try to teach her how to 4 steps. And if she can't do that, then the worst case is 5 steps. And I'm only saying this because you're saying she lacks natural ability. She might not be able to have the coordination to work on her non-dominant leg. So it might just be one of those situations where you just do the best that you can. And then maybe over time, you can teach her how to do it better. It's really hard to say, but that would be a starting point. Say if you've got a meet coming up soon, and then again, I'm just reading between the lines here. So 80-meter hurdles is outdoors. So I'm guessing you're maybe getting her ready for summer. I'm not sure, but anyway, depending on how much time you have. But that would be your starting point. And then if you have already seen it, I do have this thing called Hurdling 101, which walks anybody through step by step how to take absolute beginner to take them to proficient step by step. That'd be something you can consider. Another thing is you could have a YouTube video that's about 3-stepping. It really shows you how to take a 4-stepper and turn them into a 3-stepper. And then there's one about 4-stepping. So both of those videos in combination could give you what you need. But like I said, my Hurdling 101 does a pretty good job of outlining that. And then the other option is if you want to work with me, if you caught the beginning of this video, you can either do my Ace Hurdler subscription or my Hurdle Team Ace, either one of those. So that'd be something for you. Okay, so let me know if you have another question. In the meantime, just because I don't want to have any dead air here, I will just keep talking. I got a question, 2 questions this week that had the same answer to them from different people. And they were both situations where they were struggling to learn something. And one was an athlete and one was a parent of an athlete, where in both cases, the athlete could, whatever they were working on. So one of them was her lead leg. She tends to go too high over the hurdle, and she's having a hard time. Thanks, Jill. She has having a hard time not going too high, and her driving her knee to the hurdle. So she says, I can do the drills, but whenever I try to do it full speed, I can't do it. And then the parent had a similar issue. It also was similar with the lead leg. And my answer is always going to be this, is you start learning the movement in the drills. So, and again, if you've seen my videos, you know that I like a progression. So you start just moving, isolating that limb all by itself, and then you start adding more limbs in there, and you're doing it standing, then you're doing it walking, and once you can do it well walking, then you do it skipping, then once you can do it well skipping, then you go to jogging, and then once you are good at jogging or you master that, then you can go faster. So a lot of times you can't go straight from drills to full speed because everything changes when an athlete goes full speed, especially when they're having to go what feels like more than full speed in order to reach the next hurdle in 3 steps. So always what you want to do is just gradually increase the speed for this new learned skill, in this case a lead leg. So you always pull your hurdles close to a distance or a spacing where you could 3-step it, or whatever it is you're going to race at, in this case 3-step, but do it at about half speed. And you do that, so you're going over these hurdles at half speed, getting everything working perfectly, just like on the drills. And then you can, once you get that done, then you just space out the hurdles maybe 6 inches farther than before. All of them go 6 inches out. And then now maybe you're going at about 60% speed. And once you can do it at 60% speed, then you spread it out another 6 inches and you're doing 70% and then 80%. And then hopefully you go to 90, then 100. Keep in mind that a lot of times it doesn't happen in one session because we need to remember we're not training machines here. We're training human bodies who fatigue. And then the more you fatigue, the worse things get. So what you want to do is, just, kind of assess, maybe take long rest periods, go do something else, come back and do it again. Or maybe you need to set it up for, 2 days from now, whenever you do the session again. But the point is this, is that you get to a point and you find out what's the fastest that you can go and still maintain the perfect technique. And that's where you stay until you feel really masterful at that. And then you try to bump up the speed. And if you keep messing up, then you just keep going back down until you can do it. And then but eventually you will get to full speed, full spacing, and you'll be able to do it at a race. Okay, so something, hi Ulysses, something that you do in everything that you're learning. Just know that it's a progression, okay? And that's kind of the method, okay? So, all right. So I came into this with one video to review, which I finished, and one question to answer, which I finished, and I also got Jill's question. So hopefully somebody else will send me a question, and then we'll go from there. In the meantime, let me just show you some updates. There's always updates with me because as I'm ramping up this service that I provide, always growing and learning new things. Let me check something real quick. Let me share screen again. But let's see here. The big thing that's new, in addition to, let's see here, I'm finding a lot of, so I'm on my website right now, in case you can't see that, but finding a lot of interest in these 3 products. Hurdling 101, which is an instructional video, and a lot of people interested in the training plans. So these 3, that's why I have them highlighted here, but also these subscriptions. So the difference here is this is ideal for a school coach or somebody who has multiple hurdlers, and maybe that school doesn't have a hurdle coach, because there's a lot of schools without hurdle coaches. I could step in and sort of be a remote coach for them, and I'm reviewing videos for them and sending them workouts, stuff like this. This is good for an athlete who wants to be good but doesn't have a coach at their school, or a parent of an athlete who needs help, and I step alongside of them. And both of these are unlimited one-on-one priorities. It's only $29 a month for this, and you can quit anytime, and then $49 for coaches. But this is a new thing. It's called Team ACE. And in Team ACE is just because I have so many people that request help from me, which I love. And if I could do this full time, I would. But I need to eventually, my goal is to make a living at this. So, and I'm in the transition of a full-time job, and I do this on the side. So in order to accommodate more people, besides all the free requests that I get, I'm creating this community that looks like this. This is where a person could come in, and it's more of a one-to-many approach or a community approach where I'm just talking to a bunch of people at once. I'm getting questions and answering them. A lot of times I'm making videos to answer them, stuff that I don't even put on YouTube. I have some other instructional videos, suggestion box. I have workouts on here that they can download and get, and they can also submit their videos for me to review. Some of them I'll review during these live sessions, but some of them I'll just put on here, and everybody can learn from each other. And then also you have athletes sharing videos where other athletes and or coaches could go on there and check them out and give feedback. So just some stuff to know as far as that's the direction that I'm moving. And I'm trying to make it as good as possible. I've got a suggestion box. And in general, if you have any ideas, questions, stuff like that, let me know. So let me go, wrong one. Let me go back to here. Okay, got a question here. I remember that name. Hey, Coach Caton, you might have answered this question before, but I just wanted to fully understand how my arms should be when I go over the hurdles, more specifically my trail arm, since it hangs. So let me know, are you Xavier? Are you the one whose video I just reviewed? I'm not sure because you guys and your names on different, between YouTube and Discord and this and that, I don't ever know. So just let me know. But in general, whatever your lead leg is, so let's say your lead leg is your right leg. As you lean into that hurdle and your right leg starts to go forward, you lean into it and your left arm goes forward, okay? And I will tell you, okay, thanks, Xavier. So you just need to sort of just shoot it forward. A lot of people I see, especially boys, kind of emulate some elite hurdlers who do this thing where they swing it around from the top. I'm not a fan of that because it's not natural running with your arm up high, but also it swings the arm from around, and it causes this rotational force with the upper body that has to be countered by a rotational force from the lower body swinging the lead leg around, and then that person ends up being twisted, and then they come off the hurdle twisted. And you just don't want to create these unnecessary rotational forces that aren't doing anything to help you get down the track in a straight line as fast as you can. So just shoot it forward as you're leaning. So in your case, if I remember correctly, your right leg leads, so your left arm will go forward. And then I'm going to turn sideways so you can see me in the video. But as your arm goes forward, your trail arm should come right back here. I'm going to stand up a little bit. So it doesn't need to go way back here. I always try to keep it at about 90 degrees. So it just goes right by the back of your hip. And then as you come off the hurdle, your trail arm is going to shoot forward like this, like to get you back to running. And as you go forward, your hips come forward too, and that'll bring your lead leg down really fast, okay? But your lead arm, when you go over the hurdle like this, your lead arm, as you pull it back with a 90-degree elbow, you want your hand to brush right past your knee. That's what we call cutting your knee, or sometimes we call it sweeping your knee, okay? So you always kind of want to run, it's as if you're running like this with 90-degree elbows, and then when you go over the hurdle, it goes like this, and then back, right to where you were. You don't want to do anything more than that. So keep that in mind. Hopefully that answered your question. So it was a good one. I have this vision now as I'm starting to do these live streams, and I really like it. I mean, I am a teacher and a coach, so I love teaching things. I'm going to try to, at some point, set it up to where I have a whiteboard in here, and I would need 2 cameras, I think. I mean, I could switch to the camera, and if there's ever a situation where I need to draw stuff on the board, I'll do stuff like that. So, because I really like this. Okay, Ulysses, are there any drills you use to increase turnover speed in between the hurdles? I have athletes who have strong speed base already. Yeah, that is fast. Yeah, Ulysses, I do. Hopefully you've seen my video of my hurdle warm-up progression. If you haven't seen that, I believe you can get that on my website. But if not, email me and I'll send it to you. But if you know what a hanging trail leg drill is, that's where you, it's a drill you do where you stand in front of a hurdle and you have your lead leg dangling over the hurdle, and you stand there and then you jump over the hurdle really quick. It's pretty common for people to do it, and then they finish with their trail leg up in the air like that. But what I do with my hurdlers is I have them bring both legs down as fast as they can. So they drop their lead leg down and pull their trail leg over to the ground as fast as possible. So it's like a snap and they're over. And that's what we do. So hopefully that answers your question. Okay, so yeah, so that's it. And just know that in general, my way of doing drills, and if you, I don't know, if you've been through my series of videos that I'm making these days about coaching hurdles, I don't know if I was clear about it on this, but I know there's a lot of drills out there, and a lot of them I don't do. You saw my progression. Like I teach it standing, then walking, then jogging, or skipping, and then jogging. And then I like to do everything moving forward. I don't like to do, it's too hard to complicated to get into, but I like things where you're always moving forward and always, once your leg hits the ground, you're pushing forward off that plant leg and thrusting your body into the hurdle, even if it's not full speed. So here's my point, and I'm probably getting really confusing here, but really what I'm trying to say is we have our drills, and then we spread out the hurdles, and I never measure it. I always just grab the hurdles for my girls, and I set my first hurdle down, I grab my second hurdle, and I will just walk, taking 8 or 9 steps, and then I set the next hurdle down and do the same for the third and the fourth. For my boys, I'll usually bring it 9 or 10 steps. But so they're going over the hurdles at about 60% of their speed, 60 to 70% of their speed. And we'll do a lead leg drill on both sides. We'll do a trail leg drill on both sides. And then I'll have them go over the hurdle center. And then the first time they always go with their non-dominant leg. And then they'll go 3 times over with their dominant leg. And that's where I do, and again, I've said this before, this is what I feel like is the best hurdle coaching, is where for each of these athletes, I will talk to them each day and say, okay, what do we need to work on most for you? Okay, so if one says, in your case, I need to get quicker over the hurdle. Okay, that's one. What else do we need to work on? Usually there's 2 or 3 things that individual hurdler needs to tweak. And then so I'll say, okay, you're going to go over this hurdle 3 times. The first time I want you to focus on this. Second time I want you to focus on this. And the third time I want you to focus on this. So it's going over the hurdles right over the center, 3-stepping, and they're working on coming quick on their feet. They're coming, their lead arm, their lead leg, pulling their hips forward, arms, whatever it happens to be. And they can just focus on that one thing without being full speed. And it works. It just drills it in there. And then I'm able to transfer that into full speed when we, then go spike up and let's do some full speed reps now. Then they're able to do it. But that kind of stuff just goes on. Hopefully that answered your questions. Okay. That was a lot of talking. Okay. Let me see if there's any other questions. Hopefully there is, because I've covered all my topics today. I don't know if anybody's ever done a live stream. It's very unusual because I'm seeing myself in the screen here, but I'm seeing myself, I don't know if it's 5 or 10 seconds behind what I'm actually doing. So it's really odd. There's a big delay. Okay, so Reese, how high should the hurdles be for girls during practice when training for the 100? Great question. Okay, so I don't know that I know that I've mentioned this in my coaching videos or the upcoming ones, I'm not sure, but this is the way I do it. And I always have to give this preface. The preface is that, and no exaggeration, I don't even know for sure. I've been advertising for the longest time because I never actually counted, but I always said I've coached at least 25 or 25 plus state finalists and and champions. I actually thought, you know what, I better actually confirm this. So the other day I started marking down how many, and I'm over 50. I think I'm at 54 right now. So it's even more than I thought. So I say that because some people think that I'm crazy when I say this, but I'm saying you, the best hurdlers that I've ever coached, we all do this. We never, and I mean literally never until maybe the week of state, do we run over hurdles at full height and full spacing. Here's the reason why. Because practicing and racing are very different mentally, and the amount of adrenaline and energy that the person has in their body. And there's things that they can do at a meet that they cannot do at practice, okay? And also at practice, you're doing multiple repetitions of things, so there's a fatigue that starts to set in. So if I go full height and full spacing, then they can't do it. Even really good hurdlers, they just can't make it at practice. I'm talking state champions in the middle of a season, a lot of times can't race at practice or do practice full height, full spacing. So I learned early on, even when I'm doing full speed, we're always one click lower and at least a foot closer. Early season, like the first few weeks, I will probably be 2 feet shy of the actual spacing. And then as I know they're doing well, I'll go to 1.5 feet, then I'll go to 1 foot, then I'll go to 1/2 foot. So pretty much by mid-season, depending on how we're doing at practice, I'll be about 1/2 foot shy of the spacing to 1 foot shy. And sometimes I'll move it within practice just by me judging how I think they're doing, So I'll do that. So the farthest I ever get is sometimes I'll actually, towards later in the season, I'll bring the hurdle from, let's say they race at 33 inches, I'll bring it down one click to 30 inches. But later in the season, I might just kind of, if it's a sticky hurdle, I'll put it like halfway up. So they kind of get used to that. Excuse me, but I never go full height. It might only be literally the week of state, and it might be on a Monday, and we're racing later in the week, and I put my best hurdlers together to race each other, and then I might go full space, but even then I don't. So hope that was a long answer to that question, but that's something I feel really strongly about. So and since nobody's sure thing. So while I'm waiting for another question, I'll just carry on with teaching stuff. So one thing that I learned, I've got a story. I've had a tragic story where I had a girl who made it to the state finals as a freshman, and she came back sophomore year very excited. I mean, you can imagine, she was very, very excited about the season, and just first day out, just did too much. And I let her do too much, and she was frustrated and things weren't going well, and she ended up getting hurt. She hurt herself, just strained her muscles, and it ruined her whole season. She never came back and never ever reached her potential as a hurdler, and I'm convinced that it was because of what happened to her sophomore year. And that's when I learned I'm not doing this anymore. I'm gonna pull back on things and pull things shorter, closer, and slowly, incrementally work my hurdlers into spacing and height. So some of my hurdlers don't race early in the season, because I just don't see the point in pushing them too soon. It's not important to be a good hurdler in the first 3 meets of the season. It's only important to be a good hurdler at the last 3 meets of the season. So if I could save them from injury, that's what I'm going to do. Okay. So I got another question from Xavier. I actually have another question. So I'm going to counties for the hurdles. Would it be too late to change my training regimen? If it is, should I wait until the spring season? Well, no, I mean, not necessarily. Here's what I would do, Xavier. In Team Ace, ask me that question, but also DM me. Well, no, let's just talk about it here. I will tell you this. If your counties was this coming weekend, then I'd say, yeah, don't do anything. Just do what you've been doing, because you're obviously doing pretty well. But if you have 2 or 3 weeks and you can tweak a few things, like do, some better drills, change a few things, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. There's no problem with that at all. Okay. Good question. Okay. I got 4 people on here. Give me some questions, people. Give me some questions. Let's see here. I don't have any other good stories at the moment. Next time I'll come prepared with some stories. I got a ton of them. I have coached for so long and coached so many hurdlers that I can just tell hurdling stories all day long. I've got right now a kid in Colorado who I've worked with for a few years, he's on some of my videos. He's the blonde kid, and he's not in there as much as some of my other ones, but he's right now ranked #1 all classifications for both hurdle races. And he was a top-ranked sophomore, the top-ranked junior, and now he's a top-ranked senior. He had a really, really tough state meet last year where he, I believe in both races, he fell right before the finish line just because things that were out of his control, people jostling around. And we're really looking forward to hopefully a really great senior year so he can finish out the top in the way he belongs. Anyway, I'm just jabbering, by the way. I'm just waiting till somebody asks me a question. I mean, I'm assuming you guys are here to learn something. And you're learning that Mike does not mind teaching. So take advantage of it. Ask me a question. If there's nothing else, I will do one more push for my services. If you want to see more of me and want to have me as in your hip pocket to be able to send videos to ask questions to at any time and get a really quick response, and it's one-on-one and tailored just for you, whether you're an athlete, a parent, or a coach, then you ought to consider my ACE Hurdler or ACE Coach subscription. I mean, you know what coaching costs. I mean, I made this thing only $29 a month, and you can quit anytime. So to me, it seems like a no-brainer. But if that's too much for you, I have my Team ACE that I just started up. Honestly, I think I've only had about a handful of people go through that. So I want to build that up as a large, robust, energetic community where people are submitting videos, who are asking questions, and all learning from each other, whether it's coaches or athletes and parents. I want it to be a really, really good resource for people to come and learn about this awesome sport. Another thing, I'm working on a new video that's going to be in my coaching series, but it would be good for anybody. It's about 300 hurdles. It's how to coach athletes for 300 hurdles, and it's going to be really good. I've got so much going into it, and that's why it's taking so long. I should have put it out a week ago, but I want to do a good job with it. So that's my latest projects. It's been getting Team ACE up and running, working on that video, and then also working on some social media stuff to get out there. But I am enjoying these live streams. So anyway, looks like we are down. Nobody's on here now, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to get back to watching some NFL playoff games. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you next week.